Hello everyone, welcome back to the videos on securitization. So in today's video, we will be discussing about the concept of process of securitization. So I hope you are clear about the parties who are involved in securitization process and also the other parties who are involved in the securitization process. So if you have understood the parties and their roles and functions, you will be able to understand and catch up the process of securitization very easily. So let's see what is the process or how securitization process is taking place. So a quick recap on the concept of securitization. It is a method of converting the receivables of the financial institutions, that is, receivables in the form of loans and advances, conversion of that into bonds or securities, which are then sold to the investors. It can be bonds, securities, or any other instruments. So it is the process of turning or converting the illiquid assets into liquid assets to free up the blocked capital. So once a particular financial institution lends loan to a borrower, that amount of money, say for example 50 lakh rupees, so a bank gives or a financial institution gives 50 lakh rupees of loan to a borrower, so that amount of 50 lakh rupees is blocked there with that borrower. Okay, so in order to free up that blocked capital, this securitization process can be used. So the collateral assets like property, land, building or other real estate, they become exchangeable financial instruments in this process of securitization. Okay. So I hope you remember this concept of securitization. So in this figure, the securitization process is explained very clearly. So don't get confused or don't get tensed seeing this figure. We will discuss each item one by one or each process one by one and make it clear. Okay, so quickly going through this diagram before going to the process or steps in securitization in detail. So this process starts with an origination function followed by a pooling function followed by a securitization function. So here we can see that in case of origination function, what happens? There is a borrower. That borrower approaches the finance company or the bank for credit or for loan. Okay, so the borrower approaches the finance bank and the finance company or the bank extend credit to the borrower. So this function is known as origination function. Borrower approaches a bank or other financial institution, or in case of securitization, this finance company or bank is also known as originator. I hope you remember about originator. Okay, so after that, the respective financial institution or the originator allows a certain sum as debt in exchange for any collateral. So collateral can be property, land, building, or any other real estate. That is the origination function. So the bank lends loan, and after this, what happens? This particular bank or finance company or the originator then sells off its receivables or this particular loan through pledge receipts to the special purpose vehicle. So that loan is being sold by the originator, or in this case the bank, to the special purpose vehicle, that is sells illiquid assets. Okay, so once the special purpose vehicle gets this amount of illiquid assets, they will pay for the illiquid assets as at a discounted value. So if the loan is for rupees 50 lakh, they will not get the 50 lakh, but at a discounted value, the finance company or the originator gets a payment. Okay. So then happens the second. So that is known as the pooling function. And now we enter into the securitization function where the special purpose vehicle issues pay through certificate instruments. So these are the instruments or the securities issued at the time of securitization, of which we will discuss in the next video. Okay. So they will issue the pay through certificates through a merchant bank. In some cases, a merchant bank will be there, through merchant bank through the investors. So what does the investor do? The investor invest money and they give money to the special purpose vehicle. Okay, so after a particular point of time, what happens? The investor need to be paid the principal amount plus a return on their investment. So this is the securitization process. So the SPV or the special purpose vehicle transforms these receivables into marketable securities, that is either through pay through certificate or through pass through certificate. It can be of different types. Okay, so these instruments are then forwarded to the merchant banks for selling, and they will sell it to the investors. So the investors buy these instruments to benefit in the long run. Okay, so since the investors extend the loan or give them investor money, they are liable to receive a return on investment, right? So that is what I explained just before. That is, he or she will receive a principal amount plus return on investment at the time of redemption. So the originator receives a lump sum amount, though at a discounted value, from the SPV. So this, in this case, this merchant banker also charges a nominal fees for the services provided by them. Okay, so in short, this is a securitization process. So now let's go to the process in detail, and again come back to this particular image, so that let's make it more clear. Okay, so the process of securitization can be classified into four main stages or four main process. So the first process or first stage is the identification process. Second one is the transfer process. Third one is the issue process, and last one is the redemption process. So now let's see each stage one by one in detail. So the first one is the identification process. So what does this process means? Let's see. The originator possesses assets which involves a variety of receivables. So the prerequisite for understanding this securitization process is that there is a borrower who borrows money in the form of loan or advance from a particular finance company or a bank, that is known as an originator. Okay, so that part is already over. The beginning part is already over. So now the originator possesses these assets with them, and these assets may involve a variety of receivables, because a bank or finance company lends their money not only to one person, not only to one borrower, but a group of borrowers or large number of borrowers. So it may include a variety of receivables. Then what the originator do next is he may identify a pool of assets that has a homogeneous characteristic or homogeneous nature. So this homogeneous characteristic may be in terms of the risk involved, or the interest rate that will be received from it, or in terms of maturity. So the originator pools a group of receivables of homogeneous nature after that. Okay. So this process of selecting a pool of loans and receivable from asset portfolio for securitization is called identification process. So first, from the group of assets held by the originator identifies a pool of assets having same characteristics. So this process is known as identification process. Okay. So here we begin the securitization process. Then next is the transfer process. So what is happening in the transfer process? So the assets, the illiquid assets are pooled into different packages of homogeneous nature in terms of maturity or risk involved in it. So after that, what will the originator do? After the selection, this pool of assets are transferred to a SPV, that is a special purpose vehicle, and who will convert them into securities. So this special purpose vehicle facilitate the process of conversion of this illiquid assets into securities. So this process is known as the transfer process from originator to a SPV. So this is known as transfer process. After this transfer process, what happens is that the assets or these loans are removed from the balance sheet of the originator. So that is no more an asset because it is already sold to a special purpose vehicle. So it will be removed from the originator's balance sheet. And what happens is SPV will pay off the originator the consideration for the assets purchased. Okay, so SPV purchased the assets from the originator. So they will get a payment in back. So that amount of money they can use it for further purposes or further lending or any other activities like for profitable uses or for giving new loans. Okay, so this is the second stage, that is transfer process. And third stage is the issue process where there may arise a bit of confusions or doubts. Okay, so in case of issue process, the SPV raises money to buy these assets by selling securities. That means the SPV buys this pool of assets or packaged assets from the originator, and in order to purchase or buy those assets, they need money. The SPV needs money. So the SPV will sell some securities, and that process is known as the structuring of security. Okay, structuring deal or structuring of securities. So the SPV issues securities to the investors with the help of merchant bankers, as we have already seen in that particular chart. The SPV actually splits the packages into individual securities of smaller values, and after that they are sold to the investing public. So when the SPV receives these assets from the originator, it is in the form of packages. Okay, that is pooled together. So many receivables are pooled together. So they will split up, the SPV will split up the package and will issue individual securities. Okay. So the securities issued by the SPV are called by different names like pay-through certificates, pass-through certificates, etc. Of which I already mentioned. We will discuss about it in next videos to come. So in this particular process of issuing, the SPV should take care of the credit worthiness of the particular security. Okay. So in this case, the credit enhancer plays a very important role. So the credit enhancer will help the SPV in rating the securities to be issued. Okay. So remember that when the assets are pooled together in terms of homogeneity, that means that only one type of asset of similar maturity will be bundled together. Okay. So here credit enhancer plays a very important role in the issue process. Okay. So the SPV also will get the support of credit enhancer to protect the investor from loss due to default of obligor. So if any borrower fails to pay or makes a default in payment, in that time also the credit enhancer supports the particular SPV. Okay, so when the securitized instruments are rated and credit enhanced, they will become more attractive and easy acceptable to the investors. So after this, the issue of securities are done to the investors by the SPV with the help of merchant banker, for which the merchant banker will charge a particular nominal fees that is to be paid to the merchant banker. Okay. So the last step or last stage of process of securitization is the redemption process. So where the proceeds collected by the originator from the obligor is passed on to the SPV. So at this point of time, the originator or the particular bank will collect the proceeds from the obligor. That means the borrower, he gets back the amount of loan that he has lended with the amount of interest, and that amount will be passed on to the SPV. So the SPV then pays off the principal and interest to the final investor. Then in this case, the originator will be acting in the form of a servicer. Okay, servicer, we learned about the roles and functions of service in the previous video. So here the originator may act as a servicer, where the duty of the survey or the role of the servicer is to collect the debt or collect the proceeds from the obligor and pass on to the SPV. So in normal cases, originator will be the servicer himself, and thus the final redemption is facilitated by SPV in the securitization process. Okay, so these are the four stages which are involved in the process of securitization, of which we had a very brief discussion. So I hope it is clear for you regarding the process of securitization. Go through that image or the chart showing the process, and also through all the points that we have discussed as of now. Thank you.